Now I would like to discuss with you some of the laws that were passed in detail that try to stop the disenfranchisement of the newly freed slave in America. You have the 14th Amendment, which was passed. The 14th Amendment granted slaves automatic citizenship into the United States. Um, I talked a little bit about the Black Code laws earlier in my presentation. And one of the things that came out of the Black Code laws is even though the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution was passed and it gave blacks full citizenship rights, it did not give them civil rights. And so now you have a people who are free but don't have freedom. And so Congress again acted and they ratified the 15th Amendment. And the 15th Amendment ensured that a person's race, color, or prior history of servitude would not be an exclusion for them to vote. Well, we know that was not the case. And we know that many things happened in the South in particular that prohibited African Americans or blacks from voting, if you will. Some of the things that they experienced were lynching. There seems to have been this white fear that you have these newly emancipated black people, and now they'll be able to determine who is elected. And so whites made it very difficult for blacks to vote, even though the highest law of the land, which is the Constitution of the United States, said that they should be able to. Well, it took almost another 100 years with the Voting Rights Act of 1964, which came on the cusp of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, before blacks and other minorities and women were able to go to the polls without fear of reprisal, without having to endure trauma just to cast their ballot. It was a tough fight. It was a rough fight. Many people were lynched, as I stated earlier. Some studies show, and Manza did a study again, and some of his studies show that lynching was associated with disenfranchising blacks from voting. And you can understand why. If I go to the poll to vote, and I run into, say, a member of the KKK, and they tell me I cannot vote, or I will not be anymore. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Some blacks did vote, and they were lynched. They were hung. They were burned. Their homes were burned. People would shoot into their homes as a means of scaring them and terrorizing them to keep them from the polls. And so disenfranchisement uh, at the root is not fair to anyone, because what it does is that it keeps you and I as individuals from having a voice. Our vote is our vote, is our voice. And if we don't have the opportunity to cast our vote, then our voice is never heard. The sad irony is that many people today in the 21st century, many students such as you and myself, we won't go to the polls and vote. We feel like we are too busy. But then, at the end of the day, we have complaints to make. Well, it's imperative, again, that you get out and vote, because your voice is only heard when you cast that ballot. I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat or independent or libertarian. You can even be communist. If you don't voice your opinion vis-a-vis the vote, then you're stuck with whatever is left over. And so now The inability to vote basically also included no taxation without representation, because you're truly not represented. So you still have to pay taxes, but you have no representation in the body politic. And how fair is that?